You probably didn't realize how much ChatGPT and artificial intelligence are not just keeping you fat, they can actually be dangerous to your weight loss journey. We're going to dive into the specific things you need to look out for as a consumer. And if that sounds interesting, this episode's for you. Welcome to Weight Loss Forensics, the go-to podcast where we take FBI tactics to investigate cravings, overeating, and why diets suck. I'm your host, Holly Bertone. I'm a former FBI Chief of Staff for Counterintelligence, now known as the Emotional Eating Profiler and Coach. And for this episode, I prepared and I created the notes first, all by myself, without any help from ChatGPT. That is an important fact for you to know. And then after my work was complete, I asked Chat these two questions. Number one, how is ChatGPT and AI's artificial intelligence, how is ChatGPT and AI making women fat? And number two, how is ChatGPT and AI dangerous to a woman's weight loss journey? So you're going to get my perspective first. Again, 100% totally me. And then at the end of the episode, you're going to get the robot's answer. And honestly, I wasn't expecting that answer at all. So as you're listening and watching this episode, I want you to pay close attention to the difference between what I'm sharing throughout the entire episode and then what the robot is sharing at the end. Because I think it's really going to surprise you and really just open your eyes to something that you've never thought about before. So first, let's just create a level playing field and let's define what I mean when I talk about artificial intelligence or AI. And a lot of people think that AI equals ChatGPT or ChatGPT equals AI. And I mean, yes, ChatGPT, we're just going to say Chat now for short. Chat is huge and Chat is popular and so many people are using Chat. But what you probably didn't realize is that AI is actually thousands of different tools and technologies. And I'll give you a really good example. If you're familiar with Canva, the app where you can, create like photos and images and, graphics and things like that. So if you use Canva and all you have to do, you click one button and you can have the background of your photo removed. Like that's AI. That's an AI technology. Or let's say you're on a website and that little help icon pops up at the bottom. You can chat with a robot before you talk to an actual human. That's AI as well. But for the purposes of this episode, I'm just going to focus on ChatGPT. Some of you may use Claude. ChatGPT and Claude, pretty much the same thing, just a little bit of difference. Or any other what's called an LLM, which is a large language model. But I'm just going to, for just ease and just simplicity, I'm just going to say Chat because that's what most people are familiar with. And so with ChatGPT, you get in what you put out. So quality in gets you quality out, and I'm going to say most of the time. So junk in, though, is always going to get you junk out. And if you kind of think of the irony here, it's pretty much like when you eat junk food or fast food or drink the Diet Coke, you're going to look like crap and you're going to feel like crap. But when you fuel your body with nutrient-dense food, you're going to look and feel like $1 million. And it's the exact same concept. But there's a catch, is when you feed Chat quality information in the prompt, yes, you are probably going to get better information out of it. But it may or may not be accurate. And I'm going to share those statistics in a little bit. I can't even begin to tell you how many times that I've seen it spit out something inaccurate, even when the information going in was solid. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was watching a Friends episode, and it wasn't just any Friends episode. It was the series finale, like season 10, the very last show of Friends. And I had a question, something I wanted to know about something in the episode. So I jumped on Chat and I asked the question. And Chat got it totally wrong, completely wrong. And I want you to think about this. The Friends series finale, like the series finale, the very last episode of Friends, was probably one of, if not the most talked about and written about episodes in TV history. I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of articles on the interwebs just on that one episode. And Chat had plenty of resources to go out to find the information to get it right. And Chat got the answer completely wrong. Okay, Holly, why are you saying this? Why should I care? And why is this dangerous for my weight loss? Like, why should I even care about this? Here's why. There's a trend right now where a lot of business coaches are jumping on this AI ChatGPT bandwagon because it's an emerging technology and because it's an emerging technology that is here to stay. So these business coaches, they want to show that they're innovative. So they're teaching the students in their programs how to use chat. Well, a lot of health coaches and weight loss coaches and nutritionists and dietitians, they look to these business coaches to help grow their business. And I'm seeing this across the board. I mean, so many of my peers in my industry are saying the same thing. So these business coaches are saying that if any of their coaches, health coaches included, if they don't jump on the chat train, we're just going to be missing out. And that's something you've probably never thought about. But here's 2 reasons why this is important for you. So I want you to listen closely, and honestly, I want you to form your own opinion here because what I'm sharing is just my perspective. So I want you to really just form your own opinion here. And the first thing that I see is that business coaches are promoting chat as a shortcut because here's where it's super efficient. ChatGPT, it makes getting your stuff out on social media that much quicker. You can make content so fast on chat. You can create a month's worth of social media content and emails and sales pages in literal seconds. And if you're a health coach and you don't have a training program to sell, well, just go type a few words into chat, just type in your prompt, and in a few minutes, you're going to have your program there in front of you. It's going to be ready to sell literally in an afternoon. So this is the first thing that the business coaches are pushing. And the second thing, and this is the scary one, the second thing that the business coaches are pushing, and especially health coaches, is to create what is called a custom chat for paid members inside of the health coaches program. Okay, Holly, what is a custom chat? This is the equivalent of having 24/7 access to a coach. So what they do to create one of these is, as a health coach, they would take this just massive data dump of their methodology on the back end. So you as the customer on the front end, when you're in one of these health coaches programs, let's say you get stuck or you have a question, you can just go into their custom chat and say, hey, I need help with my meal plan or my macros, or should I intermittent fast today? Like, you can literally ask it anything. And that custom chat is going to use that coach's methodology that it's been fed to give you the answer. And you might be thinking, okay, Holly, why are you going all conspiracy theory about this? Because, I mean, both of those things sound really good. Like, they're efficient, they're effective, like they're going to save a lot of time. They sound like really solid features for health coaches to use. And if you're thinking that, you are absolutely correct. They are solid features for a health coach to save time, to work with their clients. Until the robot is wrong. And I actually asked ChatGPT, how accurate are you? And you want to know what it said? This is literally just typed it into ChatGPT, and this is what came back. Chat said that 90 to 95% accuracy for established facts and frameworks, meaning there is still a 5 to 10% margin of error for something that is already set in stone. And I see this for myself all of the time because I've given my chat hundreds and hundreds of pages of my own intellectual property, and it still gets it wrong on occasion. And then 60 to 80% accuracy for medical claims, or when asked to speculate. 60 to 80% accuracy, meaning 20 to 40% inaccuracy. And the final one is 0 to 50% accuracy for when it decides just to go completely rogue, as we call it. It just ignores reality and it just goes rogue, which it is known to do. And it said, and I quote, I'm going to quote here, "I don't have truth baked in. I have patterns of language and access to a ton of information. If you blindly follow everything I say like gospel, that's when it gets risky." End quote. Now, here are 3 reasons why chat is not doing you any favors with weight loss and when it can actually be detrimental. Okay, number 1, you're outsourcing your authority. You should never be blindly following anyone's advice, human or robot. And every single time you do that, you are inheriting someone else's truth. You're adopting their truth as your truth. Unless you deploy critical thinking and discernment, which, by the way, these are going to be 2 of the most necessary and critical skills that we are going to need in this new era of artificial intelligence. This right here, and Holly Burton's going to get on my soapbox, this is becoming a national crisis because we do not think for ourselves anymore. We let the news, we let social media, and now artificial intelligence, we let all of that inform what we say and believe about not just ourselves, but the world. We just accept what we're fed as truth because it's comfortable and it's easy. And especially when you are making decisions all day long, the last thing you want to do is just think. Your brain's already just toast. And I'll tell you something. Between the students inside of my program, the Break Emotional Eating Accelerator, and then my private clients, I tell them from day one, this is not the Holly Bertone Said show. I do not want you going out to dinner and eating something or not eating something because, quote unquote, Holly said to do it. Don't ever say that because that completely strips you of your sovereignty. I want my students, I want my clients, I want you to think for yourself. And in the world of weight loss, discernment is one of the most powerful tools that you're ever going to have. And I want you to use this. You are the one who has agency over your body. You are the only one who can listen to that inner voice to know what's best for you. Number 2, health risk blind spots. So what if you have some kind of health issue, and especially thyroid issues, which are just so common with women? And let's say you don't disclose to the robot, or even if you do, and you follow its advice, it can actually be harmful. Or let's say you're overweight and you're going to have a lot of inflammation in your body, and then probably high cortisol spikes. And then again, depending on the advice, things like exercise and fasting and cold water plunges, they all sound great, but they're also a hormetic stress. They can be just as harmful as they are helpful. And then number 3, let's just call it what it is. A robot is not a human, and a robot is not a coach. A robot takes what you say and it just mirrors it back to you. So a robot is not going to see you face to face on a coaching call. A robot doesn't have that empathy. A robot doesn't understand what it's like to have demands with career and family and be pulled in a million different directions and still try to show up to lose weight and wonder why it's not working. A robot doesn't see these nuances that a real human being and a real coach can actually get to. So now by this point, you might be a little curious. You might be wondering, okay, Holly, do I actually use chat in my practice, in my business? And I mean, what does this look like? And the answer to that is yes. And I am going to be fully transparent with you because quite a few months ago, when things were really starting to ramp up, I actually spent a lot of hours diving into different AI technologies. And not so much because I wanted to use them, but because I just want to stay on top of things. I want to understand what these emerging technologies are doing. I want to understand what's going on out there. And I don't want to operate blindly. Like, I want to know what's going on in this new world. So I just got trained on a lot of different AI technologies. And then as I was doing that, I trained my chat to be contrarian because I want it to ask me questions. You know how I said what these LLMs are trained in is they mirror back what you say. So it's going to give you the answer based on what it thinks you want to hear. So I actually trained my chat to be contrarian because I want it to ask me questions. I don't want it to mirror back what I want to hear. I trained my chat to give me several different viewpoints and several different perspectives. So it's going to ask me questions anytime I put something in, and it's going to give me several different viewpoints or perspectives. And then that is my mirror to kind of say, okay, what do I like? What do I not like? Like, what is like really standing out here? And that's helping me to see different perspectives. And that's also my natural tripwire because I don't want to get sucked into all of those pitfalls that I just talked about. And at first, I used chat. I use it a lot. And I use it for things like emails and social media and that because it really was. I mean, it does. It saves you a ton of time. But what I found, and even in the way that I was using it compared to how I am now using it, is it was a lot of me, a little bit of chat, and then a lot of me. But recently, what I'm using it actually less and less. Because what I'm realizing is that it's a great tool, but I don't want it to replace me because I have a very unique intellectual property with my background and my experience with the FBI, with being an emotional eater and overeater for over 40 years, from struggling with this myself, from my weight going up and down and all over the place. And then how I combine this into the proprietary method that I train my students and my clients in, how I even share with you here on these episodes. And no robot can replace that. And going forward, mark my words. And please, I challenge you, come back and prove me wrong. You are going to start to notice how everything that you see or hear or read, everything is going to start to sound familiar. I can spot content that has been written by chat. I can spot it a mile away. And again, I get it. It is efficient. But how much of that content is actually from that person and their expertise? And how much is it from the robot? And I'll give you an example of this and really how this shines when a coach can show up and give you their own thought process and their own content. So when I created the emotional eating psychological profile, and I'm sure many of you listening have already taken it, I created it from analyzing 1,791 cravings profiles and hundreds of pieces of data. And I did it all by myself, and it took months to create. And I did it based on the methodology that I used back in my FBI days. And back when I was working there, the analysis that I did, it was all manual. We didn't have fancy databases back then. We relied on our own brains to get us answers. These are analytical muscles in our brains that we need to have to be productive humans in society. And when I was about 85-90% complete with the emotional eating psychological profile, that is when I plugged everything into chat. And I was like, help me clean this up. What am I missing? Where do I still need to connect the dots? That's how I used it. And you want to know what's on the other side of the emotional eating psychological profile? Everyone who's taken it, they've said, I've never felt so seen. Or, oh my God, how did you know all of this about me? I've had countless women come back. They say they were brought to tears. Like it moved them so much. Do you honestly think that a robot can have that same kind of impact on you? Which, by the way, if you haven't taken the emotional eating psychological profile yet, it is totally free. It is going to know more about you than your BFF. So I'll leave the link in the notes below where you're watching this. Well, I want to wrap this episode up with a comparison. Now, the content of this entire episode, up until this point, it took me about 4 hours to create from my own brain without any assist from the robot, with the exception of those percentages that I shared. 4 hours. And I want you to think about the quality of information that you've received so far. And specifically, How are you thinking differently about this topic? And then for comparison, after my thoughts were complete, I asked Chat the same question about how it's keeping women fat and how dangerous it can be for weight loss. And it gave me 3 pages of notes in about 10 seconds. So I'm not going to bore you with 3 pages of notes because that technically would have been the podcast had I gone with ChatGPT. But what I am going to do, I'm going to read you the highlights so you can tell the difference between a human brain and a robot brain. All right, so number one, this is what Chat said. Number one, AI tools like ChatGPT or grocery delivery reduce the need to move. Less movement equals fewer calories burned. Multiply that by hours per day and voila, metabolic slowdown. And number two, when AI becomes your therapist, friend, and coach and entertainment all in one, it's easier to avoid your feelings. And emotional avoidance equals emotional eating for many people. Number three, you can ask ChatGPT anything, and that sounds empowering. But when you do, you get things like 27 best morning routines, 43 meal plan options, 11 reasons why carbs are good and bad, and then now you're spiraling into choice paralysis. Result? You do nothing. Or worse, default to old patterns because change feels too hard. Now, number four, and I like this one the best because this is not like the best, but this is the best example of the LLM speech pattern. And here we go. AI is fast, polished, all-knowing. So what happens when your human body doesn't perform that way? You feel broken, behind. Result, you fall back into the all or nothing loop. If I can't do it right, I won't do it at all, which tanks consistency, which tanks results. That is an LLM speech pattern. Now that you've heard it, you're going to see it everywhere. You're going to see it everywhere, all over social media. You're going to be like, that's it, that's it, that's it. All right, so honest answer. And because honestly, like I might be totally wrong here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Honest answer. Where did you get the most value? Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm not going to be offended. Human coach or robot, let me know your thoughts. Which one do you prefer and why? And again, I'm not going to be offended. I honestly want to know your honest thoughts. And the final thought that I want to leave you is this. Your discernment is one of your biggest flexes. Sustainable and lasting weight loss, it's not going to come from some robot or some algorithm. It's gotta come from you. It has been so great hanging out with you today, my friend. I'm Holly Bertone. I'm your emotional eating profiler and coach, and I'll see you next week.